What's going on, everybody? This is Black Men Sundays. I'm your host, Corey Sylvester Murray, and we're talking about generational wealth, mental health, finance, and business.
It's a black man Sunday. Time to put all childish things away. I refuse to be the man I was yesterday. Gotta put my best foot forward and elevate.
Today, I have a treat for you guys, for the folks that are coming into Orlando for the summer, for the folks that are in Orlando already. You must go to the Propagate House. You must go to the halls on Fifth. What is that? Well, guess what? We have the CEO and co-founder of the Propagate House. I found out about this place, no lie. I was with my wife and we were in the long voting line across the street. And I said, it's kind of, it's a Sunday. They had a nice setup outside with the lights, the drinks. I said, let's have a few. And then all of a sudden, not realizing the owner's chilling out there, going back and forth. She gave my wife some plants that are worth like a ton of money today. And I need some more of those plants today, by the way, too. This sister's also, like I said, the founder and the founding organizer of the Apopka Market on Fifth. We go there every Friday, when we're looking for tomatoes, when we're looking for plants, when I'm looking for pickles, when I'm looking for vegan pizza, when I'm just looking for something to do outside of eating regular pizza, regular food. We have a great time. We have this sister, Ella Duke. She's an entrepreneur and she's also active in community service. We're talking about the Orange County Public Schools Foundation. This sister served as a Crystal Award winner. We're going to have that conversation. Ella Duke, welcome to Black Men Sundays. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Corey, how are you?
I'm great. So I just want to dispel the entrepreneur rumors right quick because I see on the internet, it's like I'm an entrepreneur. I quit my job. I have no job stress. I go to lunch at noon every day. What do they call the Lunchables with the wine? Oh, the charcuterie boards. I eat the charcuterie every day for lunch. But I notice with you, every time I'm in the area, I bump into you. I intentionally take a picture, not just to take a picture, but to say, wow, you really are working your butt off.
So I think that there's definitely a difference between an entrepreneur and what some like to call a wantrepreneur. Like you want to do this, but are you really doing the work? For us, it's an all-in game. It's not just me. I've got great business partners. Do you get to take lunch whenever? Yeah, sometimes. Is there maybe a margarita on a Monday? Possibly. But it is a lot of hard work. And especially for us when you're juggling multiple small businesses and trying to serve within your community and be a good friend, be a good partner, be a good wife and daughter. There really is there's not a lot of rest. And that's not, me trying to glorify hustle culture. It's just what's needed right now. So right now, we have to hustle. Right now, we are in a growth phase of our business. That's not to say that we're not moving into some lighter days, hopefully, where we have built up systems and protocols that allow us to take some days off. Like today, I'm off today. I'm so grateful that I'm finally at a place where I can say, guys, I'm not coming in on Sunday. We've got a great team. We've got great managers in place, and I'm able to do that. What it took to get here is 7 days a week of grinding, but it was, for a finite amount of time.
So let's talk about, how you were able to become an entrepreneur, how you were able to get the Propagate House, or if you had businesses before that. Like,
Yeah.
let's take a step back.
I was born to two immigrant parents that came to this country and tried to make the best with what they had. My brother and I were born in Miami, Florida. Obviously, our parents pushed really hard for education. They pushed really hard for college and um, with parents, especially Latino parents. They're like, you could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer. or you could be a banker. So I took the easy way out and I became a banker. And I did that for a really long time. Honestly, probably for the entirety of my 20s, I worked in banking all the way from, teller to manager to doing financial and investment services. And I was good at it because I was good at sales, but boy, did I hate the redundantness of it. Every day, just going to the same place, the same office. It just wasn't for me. And not to say that it's a bad thing. We need bankers, we need lawyers, we need people that can do that. I'm just not it. And I found myself constantly trying to figure out ways to take the day off or call out. And in your 20s, that's something that you do, but then you start to grow up and you really start to think about what it is that you're doing and why you're so unhappy. And at that age, with not too many responsibilities, I was able to make some moves and dip a toe into entrepreneurship. And once that toe was in, I kind of just went in head first. And I have been running my own business now for almost 12 years. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I speak with other entrepreneurs, you have the good job, but then you get into it like from a financial perspective. I hear people say, I had 6 months of my income ready to go. Or I had some that just said, I just basically jumped into it, but they knew what they were doing. So, from a financial perspective, how did you know that you were ready to take that entrepreneurial jump?
I didn't. And that is one thing about us as a group, as partners in Propagate Social House, is that we're never afraid to jump. Propagate Social House, being what it is today, was us taking that leap and saying, to hell with it. If it's going to happen, we've got to go all in. So for us, yeah, we just went for it.
You're active in community service. How long have you been doing that? Was that something that once you were able to be successful with the Propagate House, like how did you get into the community service?
For myself and my partners, and then us as a company and as a brand, giving back to the community is really important. And I say that truly from my heart, not as a matter of like virtue signaling. Even when we were first starting out, it was something that we were committed to doing. And there's so much need in Apopka, and the Apopka community itself is so giving and so loving that we kind of felt, when we saw how quickly the brand grew, when we saw how quickly the social media grew, that platform had to be used for something better than just selling coffee and food. So, we started off with a very simple request. During the holiday season, our first year in business, we had a teacher reach out to us from a local high school. Shout out to Miss Wallace, and say, "Hey, I've got a couple of kids in really bad situations. Was wondering if you guys might be able to help with some presents." And I said, "Okay, let me see what I can do." And I put it out on our Instagram, and I called it Coffee Claus. and and I said, guys, this is what's going on in our community. This is the need. Can anybody help me out with some gifts? And the response was, it wasn't alarming. It was shocking. The way that like the community came together and it just poured into these kids. And every year it's gotten bigger and bigger. And then last year I got onto the board of the Apopka Serves Foundation. That's us. And they very generously allowed me to really run with this idea that I had for the type of community service that we wanted to do. So, everybody always takes care of the elementary school kids. Everybody always takes care of, our middle school kids. You've got Angel Tree and Shop with a Cop and all of that. But as the kids start to get older, things like that don't really exist for them. And I just thought, especially growing up where I did in Miami and seeing the effects of, not the best types of friends and drugs and all of that on children, that those are the kids that we really, really need to pour into, because at that age, they are starting to make decisions in their lives that are going to affect the trajectory of it. So if more people can really start to pour into kids when they're in that age group and show them that they do care and that the mentorship opportunities are there for them, it would make a whole lot of difference. So we were able to, through the Apopka Serves Foundation, get over 150 kids to the deck at Propagate last Christmas. We were able to get them each one present, or in some cases two. We were able to supply families that had multiple kids, younger kids in the home, with presents. But the coolest thing that we got to do was that we had Santa come out. Now, remember, these are high school kids, but if you would have seen their face, you would have thought that they were, 4 or 6 years old. That same magic, that same like wonder of like watching Santa come up and call their names and give them the presents, and it was just really, really amazing. So, for us, there's two prongs to our business. There's the one where, yes, we're making a living and it's great and it's fun and we own these cool bars and food halls. But in the other is that we get to use it for good and to make a difference in a lot of kids' lives, which is, it's great.
And one thing that I keep hearing in your conversations, my partners, because, so how do you, when you're going to be an entrepreneur, when you already have a business set up, how do you select who you're going to partner with?
I own two businesses on my own before linking up with the partners that I have now. So I've owned businesses by myself and I've owned businesses with partners, and I can definitely tell you that I prefer owning businesses with my partners, because it really allows us to identify the zone of genius in everyone. And at least for us, we find that zone of genius, we stay in our lane, and we trust that the other person who has also found their zone of genius is going to stay in their lane. And so when people are like, oh, how do you do it? How do you get so much done? Well, it's not just me, it's all of us. And it's all of us working on not what we're good at or not what we don't mind doing, but what we really, really love to do. I really, really love to be the CEO. I love to be the face of the company. I love to do our social media. I love to do the marketing and go out and work with the community. I hate numbers. Spreadsheets give me anxiety. But I have a partner that loves that. And so that's the formula that works for us. It may not work for everybody. And there's some people that are good at it all. But this is what works for us.
So let's talk about, the establishment of the Propagate House and how you were able to, because I feel like you've got some good property. You got that corner, and then you've got the land on the side of that. So let's talk about that a little bit from a business perspective, though.
Yeah, so Propagate Social House was the result of a COVID pivot. We had a business before, and it tanked during COVID. We were dead in the water by March of 2020, and we moved out to Apopka because we didn't really know, like everybody else, where we were going with this, what was going to happen. And my husband found out that Apopka had a brewery that had just opened, Three Odd Guys Brewing, 2 doors down from us. And so he called them up and asked them if they had a run club, because now, mind you, we had moved to Apopka from downtown Orlando, where he got to enjoy going to a few of the run clubs out there. And it's something that he really liked to do. One of the owners picked up the phone, said, no, we don't have one. He's like, well, would you like to start one? And, they said yes. And it grew because everybody was looking for something to do while still being able to social distance. And they created this incredible community that kept growing week after week. They still meet every Tuesday and Saturday and Sundays on Fifth Street at different times for runs. And it's a really great community, and a lot of good has come of that partnership. So he's going to the run club, and then he sees that little corner of the plaza has a for rent sign on it. He sends me the picture and he's like, what could we put here? You're the visionary. And I'm like, man, I don't know. What do you want to put there? And so we talked about it with Mike and Joe, and Mike and Joe were getting married. They had just left on their honeymoon. We are calling the landlord, can't really get a hold of him, finally do. And then, of course, it's like, well, you got to sign today. 100 people want this spot. It's very lucrative. I'm looking around and I'm like, who wants this spot? Because Fifth Street did not look like Fifth Street back then. So I was like, where is all this need for this one space? So we call Mike and Joe and we're like, you got to come back early from your honeymoon. We got to sign this lease. And they came back early. We signed the lease and went to work. That night they started tearing stuff out, and I started calling contractors. Joanna started budgeting for everything that we were going to have to buy. And I think it took us 4 months. We did everything that we could without a permit, and then obviously got electricians and plumbers and stuff like that involved. Then we opened, and the rest is history.
Well, that's great information. Yeah, because when I noticed, it seemed like it moved quick. I met you through the wife. I was like, oh, that's the plant lady. Oh, no, that's the propagate lady. But then all of a sudden, you start seeing, as we're on Fifth on Fridays for the marketplace, you start seeing, halls on Fifth coming soon. I'm like, what's that? My wife's like, it's the building there. I'm like, but it's blacked out. I thought, a lot of times when I see a building blacked out, they normally have like some issues going on, some termites or something. But I was like, they're just setting up the business. And then when it opened, then I saw you in there. And I was like, the plant lady? Like, what are you doing over here? Then I started noticing you every time I went. And my wife was like, no, this is hers too. And I'm just like, oh, she's doing it big. So, let's transition into the halls on Fifth. Let's talk about, there's a lot of people, like I said, our show's catered in Orlando, but it's a lot of people from all over the country that are going to come. They're going to want to check it out. So what is halls on Fifth? Where did the idea come from? And how did you get involved with that?
Immediately when we started Propagate because we saw an opportunity. Coming from Orlando and seeing districts like Mills 50 and Thornton Park and the Milk District come alive, just because a few entrepreneurs got together and said, let's make something happen here, was very inspirational for us. And so we saw Fifth Street and we're like, this is so cool. You're right across from City Hall. You have, an entire community that lives around you. This could be something. So, we opened Propagate knowing that it was never going to be just Propagate. We were always going to try and do more. We didn't know what that was then. So we started with the farmers market because Apopka had lost it. And we said, well, what a great opportunity to bring people downtown. People, like I said, there was nothing going on downtown, so people weren't really going there. Apopka's a bedroom community. They live here, but they play somewhere else. So we're like, let's start a farmer's market. And so we start the farmers market. First, it was on our property, then it was in the parking lot, and now it's the whole street. So that was one phase of the Fifth Street activation that we wanted to see happen. And then across the street was Hall's Feed. Hall's Feed was at the time the second oldest running business in operation in Apopka, owned by the Halls family for 3 generations. And the gentleman that owned and operated it, Chris Hall, super nice guy, saw us building Propagate. In the beginning, he would kind of just stand there and shake his head and be like, they're crazy. But then, after a while, we kind of developed a rapport and eventually a friendship with him. His daughter actually works for us now. And, Apopka had wanted a food hall for a really long time. And one had been said to be coming closer to where the Hilton is, but it never materialized. And so I started doing, some digging, some investigating, and figured out that, okay, it's definitely not happening. Enter our 2 other partners who are the partners in the food hall. And I went to them and I said, guys, crazy idea. What if we see if Chris is willing to sell the building and we turn it into a food hall? And everybody agreed. They liked the idea. They saw it as an amazing opportunity and a huge gap that needed filling within the Apopka community. I approached Chris. Funny enough, he said, I was just thinking today that that's what I want to do. I want to sell. I want to retire. And we immediately went into contract, and then Halls on Fifth opened.
Got you. And let's talk about halls. 'Cause, you mentioned the Milk District, and
Yeah.
I even see one near the station, right? It's like, what is it, OBT? But before you get to downtown, they have like a little hall set up
Yeah.
over there
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so is like, what is the idea? Because I'm starting to see that all over the city where, you walk into one place and it's cafeteria style, but it's high-end eating.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I guess my next question for you is like, what did that idea, did the idea come from the other halls? And how did you go about getting the restaurants to say, hey, I want to
To agree
be
to
in
come to a
here?
Apopka.
Yeah, and I want to be in here and I want to be able to make some money here. Like, how did you, like, where did that vision and that business plan and that perspective come from?
When we decided that we wanted to get the building from Chris, the first thing that we did was just start going around to different food halls, both here in Florida and not, and just seeing like, what do we like, what do we don't like. We also started, having the conversations about the types of food that we wanted to see in there. We wanted to make sure that we were going to complement and not compete with anything in Apopka. It's a very big town, but it's still a very small town. And so being a complementary business that was helping to grow the area was really important to us. Went through the whole build out. That was an experience in of its own. And then once we actually had something to show, once it was more than just a pile of dirt, I started going out. I started talking to chefs and just feeling them out to see if they were interested in being part of the food hall. And I knew exactly who I wanted. And I made what you can call or what I called a hit list of who I wanted to go after. And from my hit list, I got 4 out of 6, which was really nice.
Yeah, and we'll get into that later because I see my brothers are on now. I'm like little Michael from the Jackson Five. I can hog the mic all day. I'm gonna get one more in, then I'm gonna let
Okay.
my brothers chat with you for a second. But going back to from a financial business perspective, partners, how much easier is transitioning, like you still have the Propagate House, then you go into the halls. Are these the same partners, or do you have different partners for each? Like, and how do you, I guess, for the new entrepreneurs that are listening, they're saying, you know what, I want to do what she's doing.
Yeah.
Because I got to realize when you're at the halls, you're tasting a lot of foods, you're interviewing. Like it's got to be a sweet experience. But let's talk about the importance of partners and how was the transition easier going to the halls because you already had partnerships. Like let's have that financial conversation and give us a
Yeah.
tip for the new entrepreneurs out there too.
Yeah, for sure. Having partners, like I said, I've done it with and I've done it without, and I definitely prefer with. And obviously, from a finance perspective, it's better. Propagate Social House is owned by four of us, and then the food hall is owned by us four and two more partners. And in the case of the food hall, we purchased the building versus leasing the building like we did at across the street for Propagate. So there was, it was definitely way more involved for the food hall, but definitely making sure that you are aligning yourself with the right partners is probably half of it. Because bad partners make for bad business. Having the ability to have those ugly conversations, knowing that your partner might say something mean to you. I'm guilty of that, knowing that your partner might make you cry or yell at you or lose their patience with you, but you can still come back to the table and you still know that you align. That's what has kept us, at least the four of us that have been in business for 10 years together. That's what has kept us together. We're never afraid to have difficult conversations. We're never afraid to call each other out and say, hey, you messed up. And when you messed up, this is everything that happened for me because of your mess up. So how are we going to fix it? How can I support you? Partnership, it's so important to align yourself with the right people and know when you have to walk away. Because with one of my other businesses, I did end up having to walk away because the partnership, it wasn't it, as the kids say.
All right. Well, first off, this is Kalali Dogbe. I'm calling out of Prince Frederick, Maryland. Hey, how you doing? Calling out of Prince Frederick, Maryland. So not necessarily familiar with the Apopka area, but the question that I wanted to ask you, or one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, that's to me when I'm listening when I'm listening to you talk, it's like a major pivot, right? You went from like being in the banking business to like I think you're in the food business now, or you're in the food services business now. So how did you discover that why? Like is it just that you like to do food services? Is that your thing, or is it more of just like running businesses?
Yeah, for me personally, and I can't speak for the other guys, but for me personally, what I love most about entrepreneurship is the creative aspect.
Uh,
And I love starting fires and running away. So you'll probably see me. Well, I mean, right now I am actively working on our next venture in the background while running the other two businesses. So yeah, I mean, I love the creative part of being on an entrepreneur. I love coming up with the ideas. That's what really does it for me. We never had any intention of getting into the food business, even though two of my partners do come from the hospitality industry. That's not what we were going to do. We were in the cannabis business. So we were not, we were nowhere near food. But like I said, it was the COVID pivot, and we legal cannabis. Let me set the record straight. Legal cannabis. Um,
oh,
but it was
that's also a service. Y'all in the service.
but it was the COVID pivot, and honestly, I wouldn't change it for anything. We're having so much fun. Not to say we're not going to go dip a toe in something else, but like right now, this is a lot of fun.
Now, it was interesting because that was one when I heard, you're in the hospitality business, you're doing restaurants. That was one of the questions that immediately popped into my head was, well, how did COVID affect you? But that's not a story we hear normally. Like
Yeah,
your pivot was actually into
what
the
everybody was running from.
yeah, everybody was coming out of it. So I think that's just interesting, in terms of being able to identify an opportunity, whereas other people were like, this is dead. Like there's nothing going on here. And you were able to identify an opportunity. So were you able to just roll like I guess funding from your other business into this business, or how did you identify funding?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's actually probably a good little nugget to share. So we had come to a crossroads. We were going to either have to invest an obscene amount of money to stay in the cannabis industry, or we could walk away somewhat whole and start something new. And so there was a lot of ego there from having built that business on our backs, and letting it go was not something that anybody wanted to do. We were having a great time. We were traveling. We were, riding the high, no pun intended. And nobody wanted to
That's
walk
right.
away from it. But I don't know. I just had a gut. I just had a gut feeling, and I was like, man, this isn't going to work, and we got to figure something else out. So I sat everybody down, and I challenged them. I said, look, give me one reason, like really, like go back, think about it. Give me one reason why we should stay, and it has to be a really good one. And if not, I'm gonna challenge you guys to go out and find something else to do, because if this industry is dead and we keep pouring money into it, we're going to find ourselves broke really, really fast. And a lot of the people that were doing the same thing as us in other states did end up finding themselves broke. So I'm glad that we were able to know that it was time to fold up and not be so attached to, who we were and what we were doing. And we were able to get out at a good time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Definitely appreciate you taking time with us. Love your entrepreneurial spirit.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Ray out of Rockledge, Florida.
Hey,
And
how are you,
again, th
Ray?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for hanging out with us on
Yeah.
this Sunday. So I have, I guess, a two-part question. I have two questions, but one's a two-part question.
Yeah.
So I'll start with that one first. So that one is, so what's been, I guess, as an entrepreneur, what's been the single biggest hurdle you've had to overcome, I guess, having your hands in so many different businesses. And on the flip side of that, what's been like your proudest moment out of all the businesses that you have your hands in currently?
Well, like I just talked about, definitely having to make the decision to leave our last business in the cannabis industry was at the time felt to me like the biggest failure. But if I had to, at the time, that's what it felt like. But if I had to pinpoint what actually is, and you're probably not going to like this if you have kids, it's the time that I lost with my kids. Because when you're a for real entrepreneur, there's, it's every weekend, it's holidays, it's, sorry baby, I can't, it's a lot of that. And you blink, and my son is in his fourth year of college, and my daughters are 18, and
Right.
it was 2 seconds ago that they were babies, and you don't get that time back. But I think that that's the trade-off that unfortunately you got to make if you want this life. And not to say, because they, now that they're older, they're like, no mom, you were there. There was never a time when we called sick from school that we ever had to wait. You dropped everything and you
Right.
came. So like that was the nice thing, right? Is that I did have those opportunities that maybe parents with corporate jobs don't get. is that if they needed me, I could drop everything and go. But the day to day, that kind of sometimes feels like a blur. So I'd call that the
Right.
failure. And then the big, yay is kind of happening now, where people are seeing what we've done, they're seeing what we're capable of, and they're reaching out with new and really exciting deals. What we're working on right now, which I can't get into the details of, but basically they reached out to us and they're like, we love what you're doing. Can you come do this over here? And, like, let us know what you need, how we can make this happen. Basically write it, write what you need, and we're going to make it happen. So that's really cool, because like I said, we never had any intention of being in the hospitality industry, but by the grace of God, we're good at it. And like I said, we're having a great time. And I think that feeling, the fact that we're always having fun, the fact that we find so much joy in what we get to do, people want to be a part of that. And that's really cool.
Awesome. Oh, thank you for that question. And I totally understand when you say, that time you really can't get back. And
Yeah.
I have, older daughters myself, and, I retired 3 years ago, 20 plus years in the military. And now I have a 6-year-old son.
Oh, wow.
And right. So now, for me, it's like, I've retired from the military. Now I have my time back, and I don't, I'm a 1099. I'll do a little bit of 1099 work, but for the most part, it's like I have my time back, right? So, and you're right, it's a blur, they grow up so fast. So,
Yeah.
So my other question, was on your partnership supply chain side. So how do you choose, like, which vendors or who you partner with? And what type of, like what do you look for? What type of values do you look for in those types of partnerships? Just for, the new entrepreneurs out here that are looking for that game.
Definitely always looking for the people that want to work alongside with you, and always trying to stay away from the people that secretly want you working for them. We have gotten into a lot of conversations about partnerships and deals and this and that with folks that on the surface, it all seems really cool and promising. But then when it comes down to it, when you're starting to get into the nitty gritty, the details of it, it's really more about them wanting to leverage your talent to make them money. And again, like, that's where your ego comes into play, where you might rush into something because you're like, oh, this seems so cool. I want to do this, but that's how you end up with bad partners. So we're super selective when we actually get to those conversations. And we've gotten pretty good at identifying who those folks are, and what those deals look like. So that's one thing. The other is just, again, going back to that zone of genius. There's what you don't mind doing, there's what you're good at, but then there's what you really love to do. And so making sure that you are aligned in that aspect. So if you have a partner that's just happens to be a general contractor, well, that's going to be great if you're looking to build restaurants, if you're looking to get into real estate. But if that partner is a general contractor and really, really loves to do it and brings like this incredible value to the table, and then you have your incredible value, that's where I think you see the most successful partnerships. So it's like, it's the positivity, the creativity aspect of it, that all goes into creating solid partnerships.
Awesome. That's amazing. So it sounds to me, it's almost like a comparative advantage type deal where, you take something, I'm good at this, you're good at this. Let's see if we
Yeah.
have any synergy together. Let's
Yeah.
make this happen. Okay. All right,
Absolutely.
awesome. All right. Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you
Of
for
course.
answering those questions and
Yeah,
hanging
of
out
course.
with us again.
It was great to meet you.
Likewise.
The Black Men Sundays official accountant. Yo, Gary, you got something, my brother? Out of Duval County, Florida.
Right.
Let's go.
Yes, sir. I don't really have anything too much. I think you guys answered most of the questions on there. Just thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah.
I did have a just my only follow up was I kind of jumped on a little late, but what type of specific types of food do you guys specialize in for the most part?
Yeah, so at Propagate Social House, we're a 7 day a week brunch cafe with craft coffee and cocktails. And so we'll do a lot of breakfasty food, cookies, pudding, stuff like that, waffles, lattes, very fancy cocktails. And then across the street at Halls on Fifth, we have 6 chef-led concepts. There's American Asian fusion. There's Filipino Hawaiian fusion. We've got a butcher that does Italian deli sandwiches and salads. We've got a guy in there that all he does is empanadas, amazing baked empanadas that are absolutely delicious. He's an incredible chef. His name is Juan. And then Soulicious Vegan is probably my favorite of all of the chefs. Chef Tiffany has an amazing knack for taking your classic soul food dishes and making them vegan. Don't knock it till you try it. Her oyster mushrooms actually taste like fried chicken and they are seasoned perfectly. And then we have Chef Ryan Whaley, and he is our dessert vendor. He does a cookie stuffed waffle that actually won Best Dessert in America on Food Wars.
Interesting. Okay, that sounds tasty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, because that was one of the questions that I did have was I wanted to see if you had any type of vegan options available,
Yeah.
but you mentioned that. So yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Similar to the other fellas, I get down to Orlando from time to time, but basically when I do, I gotta be sure to if I'm passing through either there or Tampa, I gotta be sure to swing through a Popka and check you out. So
Yeah. Please come
yeah.
see us. I'd love to
All
meet
right.
you.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, plus Gary, if you coming through a pocket, you better hit me up, bro. Don't come to my city and act like I ain't here. So, you know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, Ella. So I'm gonna ask you the really hard question now,
Oh God.
Are you
What? What?
enjoying yeah, I'm gonna ask you the hard question now. Are you enjoying yourself on Black Men Sundays?
I am enjoying myself on Black Men Sundays. Yes.
Nice, nice. Cause I just, want people to take away from this conversation that the entrepreneurial life isn't, eating bonbons at 11 a.m. and stuff. Cause every time I've come by at all times of the day. And I've always bumped into you, I always take a picture with you, and then I always say, you know what, she's the real deal. And it's always funny when I ask you, I'm like, man, you're always here. What keeps you going? You said alcohol and coffee. I said, damn, that's a hell of a combination. Yeah, yeah. So let's jump back into it real quick before I let you get out of here. Um, so yeah, so for people that are coming to Orlando, for people that are in Orlando, because Apopka's, north of Orlando. A lot of people think Orlando, no, Orlando is broken up into many
Yep.
different cities. So how can they get in touch with you as far as on Halls on Fifth?
Yeah.
Cause my wife's telling me, hey, Halls on Fifth does something fancy where you have like that front fancy room. And so let's talk about some events that you have going on during the Halls on Fifth.
Yeah.
Some of
Yeah.
that, some of that exclusive conversation. Let's go.
Yeah. So definitely follow our Instagram at Halls on Fifth, 5th, not spelled out. That way you can follow all of the chefs within the food hall and see what they've got cooking. On Tuesday nights, we actually just started Domino Night, which I'm super excited about, being a Cuban American, because it's something that we used to play back home all the time in Miami. We hosted our first one this last Tuesday, and the community came out. I had no idea that there was so many secret domino loving people hiding out in Apopka. So we were super stoked with the turnout. That's going to happen every Tuesday from 6:30 to 9:30. September 5th, the Friday Night Farmers Market comes back. We are on hiatus. But September 5th, we come back strong, 40 plus vendors. We do a couple of food vendors. There's always live music going on everywhere on Fifth Street. So that's a lot of fun. And then the PDR or the private dining room at the back of Halls is a great room. It's called the Hay Room. It is where Chris, the former owner, used to keep the bales of hay, which is hilarious because now it is a very upscale private dining room. So you can book the Hay Room during lunch if you're just meeting up with friends, having a business lunch. But you can also book it at night. When you book it at night, you book with one of the chefs. Just about all of our chefs have a fine dining menu. So it's not what you are eating when you go to the food hall. It's the whole other side of them. So it will range from 4 courses to 11 courses, depending on who the chef is, and can range anywhere between $70 and $150 per person. Again, depending on the chef, how many courses. But you can find all that information on our Instagram and our Facebook. It's very, very cool. We've done a few of them since opening in May, and they've been really well received.
Got you. And I was looking at your bio. What's sommelier? What is that? What's that? I'm like sommelier.
Yeah,
What's that?
a sommelier. Don't get excited. I'm a lowly level 1. A lot of people drank through COVID. I drank, but I learned me something. So a sommelier is someone with a vast knowledge of just wine history, winemaking in general. There are many levels, the highest being a master sommelier, which I believe there's only about 230 worldwide. So it was just something that I did during COVID. It was a lot of fun. I love wine. I learned a lot, and it's not a bad thing for what I do now.
I'll come to the halls a lot. I come get my wings, and I've had the vegan spot a few times. It's really good. But
Mm-hmm.
my thing is I've never had that experience in that front room. So do I need to make reservations for that? Is there something I can just pop into during
Yeah,
brunch hours on the weekend? Like is that exclusive? Like how
it
can I
is.
get involved
Yeah.
with that?
Yeah. Just shoot me an email. That's what you do.
Oh, is that
And
easy?
yeah, it's that easy.
Okay,
No
cool. Well,
password, no password required.
there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Ella Duke, thank you so much for
Thank
spending
you.
some time out of your
Absolutely.
Sunday, coming on Black Men Sundays, because every time I see you, I'm like, she's never off.
I'm
Like
off.
never.
I'm
I
off right now.
know. And this is awesome. So again, Ella Duke, thanks for coming on Black Men Sundays, the
Thank you.
CEO, co-founder of Propagate House, the co-owner of Halls on Fifth in Apopka, Florida. Thanks for sharing some gems with us. Coming on the show. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
It's a Black Man Sunday. Time to put all childish things away.